Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to This Is a Rewind, a look back at what wrestling used to be and possibly what it still should be. With me, as always, my tag team partner, Shelby, Death Ray Patterson. What is going on?
Hey there, Doggz. How you doing?
I'm just really tired. I haven't been getting a lot of sleep.
Oh, no. Why?
Yeah, I don't know. There's something wrong with me. I don't know.
I mean, I could have told you that without telling me that you weren't sleeping.
Well, there's that. Oh, well, see, today we've got something special going.
Yes, we do.
We did your favorite match of all time.
We did your least favorite match of all time. And we're going to review each other's, right?
It is. Yes. It is probably, least favorite's probably not accurate. It's probably be most hated.
Most hated, that's right.
Because, I mean, when we talk about this match, I have a guttural react. I'm getting upset just thinking about it.
I mean, I got heated as I was watching it, and I had never seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Just within the first 5 minutes, I was already heated. So I can understand why you hated this one so much.
Well, you know what? Let's get the hate out of the way, and then we'll let the love begin.
I like that. I like that intro. Yeah.
All right. Okay, so my most hated match, and there are a couple out there that really anger me, but the one that really sticks in my craw is WrestleMania 20, Bill Goldberg versus Brock Lesnar. Now, for the historians out there, this is roughly around 2005, I'm thinking. And Bill Goldberg's contract was up and it was not being renewed. And Brock was unhappy with the WWE schedule that he had been given. And he wanted to quit and try out for the Minnesota Vikings.
So he hadn't actually made it onto the team at this point. He just wanted to go try out.
Yes. Actually, I think he had done a camp with them.
Okay. But he wasn't like officially signed or anything.
Right.
Okay, see that's a little bit different because when we were watching it, you said that he was leaving to go play for the Vikings. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But now that you say he wasn't even like signed with them or anything.
And if I remember correctly, I think he did a scrimmage with them.
Okay.
Once or twice, and
still, that doesn't constitute an NFL contract.
No. And I think they signed him to a developmental deal or something like that, but they ended up cutting him.
Okay.
Yeah. So
so regardless, at this time, both of these guys were heading out the door.
Yeah.
And I was stunned at how much the crowd just generally hated both of these guys from the very beginning.
Very angry.
And I can understand heat, right? That's part of the character, right? Yeah. That's part of the heel characters that you have heat. But when you have both of these wrestlers, the moment they enter the ring, they start booing them. They start chanting for them to go away, doing the na-na-nas. Like before they even start, it blew me away at how much heat they had from the very beginning.
And it's not good. It's go away heat.
Yes. It's not the good kind.
Yeah. It's not the kind that you want. The redeeming factor in this match was Stone Cold Steve Austin was the special guest referee.
Which that didn't make much sense to me, but when you explained it to me, it made a little bit more sense, but I still don't understand what his deal was with being special guest referee.
Well, when you look at it from McMahon's perspective, he was like, these are two bulls, two titans. There's only one man that's going to be able to officiate a match of this caliber. Stone Cold Steve Austin. And it's
but that's not much of a story though.
It's
right?
not, but that's all they had. And they knew that once people got wind that both these guys are leaving, they was like, well, screw both these guys. We don't need them. And
Well, I mean, they didn't really redeem themselves that much because the first 10 minutes of this match was just them staring at each other, question mark. Like, just not doing anything and really kind of feeding into the crowd more than I think they should have.
Oh, my God.
They were really letting the crowd and what they were saying get to them during this entire match. And I think that that's what hurt them a lot.
A good friend of mine said when we were watching this live back in the day.
Yeah, you paid for this.
I paid.
You did.
I paid 50 smackers for this thing.
Well, yeah, because it was a WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Like, you had this match on your WrestleMania card. Like, yeah. Anyway.
And we were... A friend of mine that was watching it with us just turned to me after the match was over and said, I understand Bill Goldberg's position in this match. He doesn't know a wrist lock from a wristwatch. He can't do anything. But Brock can work and should have taken over and said, this is what we're going to do.
But he didn't.
And he didn't. He was so disenfranchised with the company. He just wanted the match over with.
Well, and I feel like that is very indicative of the Brock Lesnar that we see now in 2022, right? Because he's very much like a Randy Orton to me, right? So when Randy wants to be there, he shows up, right? And he puts on some of the best matches, one of which we talked about on our last episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But when he doesn't want to be there, he can suck all of the air out of a match. And I feel like Brock suffers from that same thing because right now, the Brock Lesnar that we're seeing right now is enjoying his time.
Yeah.
And he is loving being a face and, just interacting with the crowd and like having a blast, it seems like. But the Brock Lesnar that we watched in 2005, he didn't look like he wanted to be there, and it definitely showed. And it was a piss poor match. It was really bad.
It was all, but this was the only. Be careful how I say this. The one redeeming thing that we can say about Lesnar in this match, you can still tell, even though he didn't want to be there, and it showed. And he didn't really want to be in this match. He just wanted to be back in Minnesota.
Right.
Even with that piss poor showing, you could still have a glimpse of exactly what a phenom he actually was just as a kid, as a 23-year-old kid. And it just when he took the bumps, when he sold for Goldberg, not that there were that many bumps, but
I think I counted a total of maybe 6 or 7 moves that they did in an entire 15-20 minute match.
Are you counting all of the spears as just one? It's
yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am, because
Makes
granted
sense.
there were about 6 or 7 spears.
Truth. Okay.
Yes, you're right. But a lot of it was the like, nah, we're gonna lock up and go back and forth, and that's really about it. Right? That was the first 10 minutes of the match, and then they looked winded after that.
And the one thing that upsets me more than anything is they didn't call this match in the ring. This was a choreographed match.
Which that is even more upsetting.
Yeah.
Right? Because if it was already choreographed and telegraphed, right? They already knew what was happening. To me, it looked like they were struggling to call the match in the ring.
Yeah.
Because there were moments where they would lock up and they would stay locked up for ages. And I'm like, okay, I guess they're really talking it out in there. And then they'd break apart and then they'd do it again. And I'm like, do you not know what's going on? Like,
no,
that was
they wanted to see the power struggle. And And the reason I keep doing the Vince impression is because when you watch the match and you know what's going on behind the scenes, you smell Vince in this match. You just smell him coming out of the television.
Well, just like we said in the last episode, like he was an on-screen character at that time, right? So everything did kind of permeate his persona, I guess, right? So yeah, it was. I mean, the only redeeming part about this match was Stone Cold did a stunner on both Brock and Goldberg at the end, and that was the biggest pop of the entire match.
Without question.
And he drank like 6 beers before he left the ring, and then tried to do the beer stunner spot with Goldberg, and it did not work. And I was really disappointed because I saw him drinking the beer and then kick him in the stomach. I'm like, oh, he's gonna do the like splashing beer spot, and no.
Have you ever seen the movie Delirious?
No.
With John Candy? Okay, well, it's not going to make much of a funny.
Well, listeners will probably know what you're talking about.
Well, there's this moment where this son is really trying to impress his father that really just doesn't like him. And he gets frustrated with his dad, and he takes a vase and he says, "You gotta stop doing this to me, Dad." And he takes the vase and he holds it over his head, and he says, just like, "Don't, that's a very expensive vase." And he throws it down, and the vase bounces and doesn't shatter. And the father looks at his son and goes, "You can't even do that right, can you, son?" It's the same thing with Stone Cold and Bill Goldberg. I know that was a long walk to go on.
You know what? I saw it. I saw the path we were going on, and I was following you. And it's fine. We got there.
He screws up the stunner, and Austin just looks at him and says, "You can't even do that right, can you, son?"
He couldn't. Like, he flopped like a fish. Like, he just, not even a fish, like a sack of bricks. Like, he just kind of fell. And I'm like, I mean, McMahon could do a better stunner in the day than he did.
Brock took a hell of a bump off of it, and they had legitimate heat at the time. And, and it was, he was going away. It didn't matter what he did.
Sure.
I'd say he could have just bumped and rolled out of the ring and just landed on his feet and just walked out. But no, he took a hard bump, spun with it, rolled from the ring, and hit the ground.
And let Austin, like, kick him out. And, no, it looked good. I wish that they would have gone out on that one.
Right.
Instead of the Goldberg one, because it definitely didn't read as well.
So if you were watching this and you were doing this is a takeover, what would you rate this match?
100% a -5. Like, it was, there was no psychology in it, no story. Like, they both did terrible.
Yeah.
And they both look sweaty and winded about 10 minutes in. And it was not enjoyable at all. -5 is probably harsh. I'd probably do it more. If I'm rating my show, which you would do like -4 or 5,
I would call
say
it
if I'm doing it on TakeOver, I would probably give it a 0.
Yeah.
For sure, because I am notoriously
You're so much kinder than I am.
I am. But if I'm rating it on your show, I'd say -5. But if it's mine, it'd be 0.
Right
for
on.
sure.
I can dig it.
No meat on these bones with this one.
Okay, let's let's move on to something a little happier.
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
So, okay, I told you this before we went on air. I had a process because I had a really hard time pinpointing my favorite match, because I am the type of wrestling fan that I just enjoy wrestling so much that, and this is probably indicative of my personality just in general, I find the positives, even like the really bad ones.
Right.
And I mean, so basically I wrote down my top 5 first.
Oh, okay.
So can I just run through those real quick?
Please,
okay.
Let's do the honorable mentions.
Okay, so 5 honorable mentions because that's definitely that would be something we would do on This Is a Takeover. Have 5 honorable mentions, being like, no, everyone did a great job. Very millennial thing to do. I guess.
I wasn't gonna say it, but I did think it.
Yeah, very millennial thing to do. So my first one, in no particular order, really.
Okay.
Or, no, there's an order. Just kidding. So number 5 is Bray Wyatt versus John Cena. Last Man Standing in Payback 2014.
Okay.
So, this is the one where the build up to this was on a random Raw. Bray Wyatt had the really creepy choir of children that had all of the mask on. Kara's nodding her head. She knows what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. That was so good.
And at the time, I was just like, I don't know if this is really for me. And I had a whole thing where, like, I didn't do mask, and I punched my ex in the face because he surprised me with the mask. Like, I did not like any of this, right? But Bray Wyatt, for some reason, just him in particular, was just really resonated with me.
Yeah.
So that, and then number 4, Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30.
Oh.
Like, you can't... I had to say it. Like, I couldn't leave that one out. Like, just the build up with him in the Authority and with Triple H and Batista and Randy Orton, like, just so good. Number 3 is Undisputed Era and Team Ciampa at War Games 2019. That's the one where Adam Cole and Tommaso take the air raid crash off the top of the cage, on through the table.
There are very few war games that have taken place that I didn't like.
Yeah, honestly, a war games match was like this one in particular was in contendership for my number 1.
Now, let me ask you something, because I do know you love, and I'm gonna stop you for 1 second on the honorable mentions. Have you ever seen a 1980s, 1990s War Games?
Not one in its entirety. I have seen clips of it because they would play clips of it in the lead up to the first NXT War Games.
Oh, okay.
I think it was like 2017 was the first time that they ever did it.
Yes.
And
that sounds right.
Yeah, they would play clips of the one with like Flair and Dusty Rhodes and those are the 2 that I'm thinking of right now. So I've
2 that matters.
Yeah. So I've seen clips of it. I've never seen one in its entirety.
Okay.
But War Games was my favorite NXT takeover by far.
I'll tell you a little bit of history, and I know we're getting off subject.
No,
but,
you're fine.
That's what we do.
We do.
So I used to wrestle with this company in Lincolnton, and it just so happened that the bookers at the time, their favorite matches were the War Games matches as well. And to kick things off for our super shows, because we didn't have pay-per-views because, we didn't have television. So we had super shows. And our WrestleMania, we did a War Games style match.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have 2 rings. We couldn't afford it. So we had 1 ring with a dog cage and barbed wire wrapped around the top, and we called it Brawl Games.
Oh, that's great.
And that was our WrestleMania.
Okay.
And it was, but yeah, just to add on to it, not that had anything to do with Adam, but
no, I mean that War Games is like my favorite type of match. Now, I've heard that it is terrible to watch in person because you can't really see a lot, from what I've heard people, that other podcasts that I listen to who have been to War Games matches.
Well, I've never been to a War Games match, so I couldn't speak to it. But I could imagine.
Yeah, because like when you're watching it at home, like you have all the good camera angles and everything.
Right.
But yeah, I would, if they ever do it again, which with this new NXT, I doubt they would. I mean, they did it before, but it was War Games, but the camo was all rainbow colored.
Right.
And it's just not the same.
No, it's War Games is not happy. It's
no, not at all.
But anyway, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. And then my second, or not second runner-up, but number 2 is Sasha Banks versus Bayley, NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 2016. And in my opinion, that's the best women's match I've ever seen.
Right on. Right on.
I mean, it was very much groundbreaking in that time because NXT was still young and nobody really knew who it was yet and no one knew who they were yet.
Right.
But it was by far the best match of that takeover and of that entire year.
Right on.
I was going to do that one just simply because it's the best women's match I've ever seen.
Sure.
But then I remembered about this match that we watched. And
yeah. Well, you don't want to do the best woman's match. You want to do the best match.
Right. And honestly, Sasha and Bayley were great, but my number one was number one for a reason. But my best match ever is Johnny Gargano versus Tommaso Ciampa in Chicago 2018 Street Fight.
NXT 2018 Chicago.
Yes.
I vaguely remember this because I was watching NXT at the time.
Right.
But I wasn't paying as close attention as I probably should have been. So I kind of remember this match and I kind of don't.
Well, see, this was the era of NXT where everybody knew who they were, but Vince didn't know.
Right.
Right? So
Vince just found out last year.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly. And so it felt like you had to go into like someone's basement to watch these matches, right? Like they were all kind of seedy and kind of had an underground type feel to it.
Right.
And we all we meaning like people who were fans would feel like we were watching something that was on the indies but under the WWE umbrella.
Yeah.
Because this is back when Triple H signed all of the indie guys and drained the indies, which can be a whole nother podcast on why that's probably not great.
We could talk about that. That's a long story.
At the time, before I knew all of that, it was great because you had all of these indie darlings that were now in this one show that felt like it was a different company.
Yeah.
So you were seeing what was going on the main roster, and people would leave from NXT to go because it was still technically developmental. But once 2018, 2019 rolled around, people started turning down offers to go to the main roster in favor of staying on NXT. Yeah. Because the fans were better.
One of them is in this match.
It's true.
Yeah.
The pushes that they got were better. The storylines were better. Like, just overall, it was better.
Yeah.
And so then once people started turning down contracts to go up to the main roster, we were like, oh shit, like this is like the real deal now. Like this is the third show. And they tried to make that a thing for a while. And then I think that's when Vince was like, wait, I have a third show?
Yeah.
Oh shit, I gotta get my hands on this. And then it went to shit. But this match is my favorite, I think, because of the build that this had. Because they turned on each other like at the last Chicago takeover. So it's like a whole year has passed at this point when we get up to this fight. Yeah. And they just hate each other's guts. And it shows in this match. It
so shows. It's the one thing that I said, and like I said, I kind of remember it, but I kind of don't. And the one thing that you can tell coming out, forget about the vignette that plays before it. Don't even worry about that. Just look at the faces of them coming out. And you can tell they are ready for a fight. And they hit the ground running. Bang, they're on each other. Mm-hmm. And it's like a tag team that split up and they're angry at each other and they're just going at it.
Yeah. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah, and you can tell, and those are the feuds that I love the most. The ones where it doesn't have to be a technically sound match. That's got its place, and I've got love for technically sound matches, and you know what some purists will call 5 stars. This would not be a 5-star in that aspect because this is about wanting to hurt the other person, period, point blank, because You have, as Regal would say, you have besmirched me, good sir.
Yes. And that's all you needed in NXT back then.
Yeah.
Like Gina and I make the joke all the time is that like feuds would start just because they looked at each other wrong backstage.
Right.
And then you would have like a, 6-month feud over a bad look.
Right.
Right. But that's all it took and no one cared. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it simply took Tommaso turning on Johnny simply because they lost the tag team titles.
Yeah.
That's all it took.
Yeah.
After years and years of friendship, it took one loss for him to completely turn his back on him and beat the shit out of him after that match.
That's one of the best angles that ever is. Like you lose the belts, and that's the perfect time to do the turn. Right,
and then it just
there.
grew. Right, like the animosity just grew, and over a year of just simmering and back and forth and like hurting each other where it hurts the most. Like Tommaso like hurt his wife, hurt Johnny's wife, and like brought her into it, and just they injured each other during this feud, and then came back. Like it's probably why it took a whole year. But there was just some spots in this match that you could tell that it was just perfectly placed.
Oh, just beautiful spots, and you can tell it's a. Gargano is called Johnny Wrestling for a reason.
Absolutely.
Man, just the one spot that's right on the top of my head is coming off of the balcony for a body splash, and Ciampa catches him perfectly. He hits him perfectly. It's just chef's kiss. Mwah. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, but it's because they've worked together for years, and I feel like they knew each other so well. And I think I made this joke while we were watching the match, like you didn't have a pay-per-view without Tommaso or Johnny on it, right during that time. So if there wasn't a feud with them or like a feud they were having together with someone else, we didn't know what we were doing. Right. Yeah. And I think they were the backbone of NXT during that time, to the point where they basically, up until both of them were no longer in NXT, were still in a feud. Right. Like had been feuding from 2017 to 2020, like off and on for that entire time period.
See, it's that beautiful thorn in the side.
I can't get rid of you.
Yeah, it's Flair and Dusty. That feud, it doesn't, if Dusty was still alive today, WWE or AEW would find a way to put those two at odds one more time, because it's the oldest feud ever, and they're going to do the same thing with Johnny and Ciampa later on. I know that Johnny's gone, but never say never in wrestling. They will get back together in some fashion.
I think at some point Tommaso's going to go.
Probably.
I mean, I feel like nowadays it's just a matter of time when people get called up from NXT that you either get put into a faction of some sort on the main roster, or they push you really hard for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they completely forget about you for like half a year, and then they look on the call sheet and see that your name's still on there and like, hey, we could save some money and cut this dude. Right. That's kind of been the trajectory over the COVID era of wrestling. Right. And so I definitely think at some point in time they will cross paths again, and wherever it is, I will watch it, because you had made mention that the crowd was behind them from the very beginning, and I think they have always had the crowd, like to the point where
without
Johnny
question.
takes his belt off and starts whipping Ciampa with his belt, and the crowd starts chanting, "You deserve it."
Yes.
Like just little things like that you're just like, damn, they could literally just sit here and slap each other in the face for 5 minutes and the crowd would go nuts.
And you gotta have the crowd with you to pull that off, because that is, let's be honest, that's a heel move.
Yeah.
But when the story is that strong, it's justified.
They're like, yeah, he sucks. Beat him. Yes, exactly.
And something else that I noticed, they went with a baseline formula. Now, purists know what I'm talking about. The baseline formula for a wrestling match is what Al Snow calls the 5 stages of doom. He says this with a lot of irony because he hates this. I find that it works. Babyface comes out and establishes that he is the babyface. Heel comes out and gets his heat. The babyface makes a false comeback, but it's interrupted. The heel and the face, they bring it up to its paramount, and then you have your go home. 5 stages.
That's exactly what they did.
That is exactly, and you don't see that anymore, basically because people have stepped away from the purity of what wrestling is, and you're like, whatever you do, don't do the 5 stages.
Yeah, but I think that's why I was so drawn to both of these guys at this time period, because they reminded me so much of the old school way of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
Like, they had their technical masterpieces. They did have those matches.
Sure.
But then they had, like, you know, the unsanctioned match that they had right before this one, and then the street fight, and then the one in 2020 where it was another unsanctioned one. That was their final one that they ever did.
Yeah.
Like, they know how to do everything.
Yeah.
Right? And they've done the whole gambit, but they perform it in a way that, yeah, I guess if you write it out on paper, it's a formula, but like it just works.
And the bullshit ending is
which I hate
yes,
so
I
much.
do.
But it worked.
It
in
was
this
so
match.
works because you've got people, they know they hate Ciampa. They also know, more to the point, they're supposed to hate Ciampa.
Exactly.
And they're following along.
Right.
So,
well, because even with this, with the finish, I mean, they have that crazy spot where Johnny does the air raid crash off of the wrestling or the crates onto the 2 tables. And, you know, 2018 Shelby legit was worked and thought that Tommaso Ciampa had died in front of her eyes.
and you ran to the gimmick table and said, I need a shirt.
Yes. I want that Thanos shirt that he was wearing, right? Y'all, he had a custom-made tank top that had him as Thanos.
Yes.
And Johnny as Captain America. Like, what more do you want from this man? Anyway, I wanted that shirt so bad. So, yeah, you had that spot, and then he, you know, spits on his wedding ring and throws it out.
That was so great.
And then, you know, he's being stretchered out, and 2018 Shelby's crying her eyes out. And then Johnny gets up and is like, no, wait, I must kill him and I must finish him. And
he spit on my wrestling.
and he knows where my wedding ring is and I need it back. And he just pulls Ciampa slowly on the gurney down to the ramp.
Milked it.
Yes. And then you have Ciampa who's like tied to the, like, no, stop, please stop. And you think that Johnny's rallying, right? You think, because he handcuffs his hands behind his back. The like suits come out and try to break it up, and he's like, nope, and just keeps pummeling them, keeps super kicking them, and then all of a sudden Tommaso out of nowhere does a DDT on the exposed wood of the mat.
Beautiful.
With his hands still handcuffed behind his back, and then covers him, and he wins.
1, 2, 3.
And
God.
you could hear a pin drop in that arena. Everyone was stunned.
And I'll tell you this, you don't get those moments often. And when you do, when you hear that pin drop, that silence, it's a little bit scary, because for a split second, I know I've thought this, they had to have. I was like, oh my God, what have I done? We killed the business. Holy, they're going to come into the ring and murder us.
They hate us now. We've ruined the feud.
We've ruined wrestling for thousands of fans. Oh my God. It's my fault. And then it's like, no. Okay, we're good. We're good.
The business is not dead. We didn't kill it. Yeah, and I mean, just stunned reactions on people's faces. Like and to compare the match that we previously talked about with Goldberg and Brock.
Yeah.
The faces that you saw panned out at the end of this match were disinterested and what did we just watch? And wait, did I just pay money to watch this match?
Oh God, when I think about it, Shelby, I get
versus Johnny and Tommaso, shocked, dismay, upset, people crying, like fans just so into this feud, and it made me want to keep watching.
Yeah.
And you're like, holy shit, what else can they do? And they continued it.
Right.
And it was
because it's the constant thorn in the side. It's the what's a good the example for all the Trekkies out there? It's the what the hell is the guy's name?
You are looking at the wrong person. I have no idea.
This was a terrible example for me to start off seeing as I'm not even a Trekkie. Forget it. We're just gonna
analogy crash and burn.
I know. You know what? It was fine. It was the asteroid belt for the Millennium Falcon. It just kept popping up.
There you go. You saved it.
Yeah. Did I though? I mean,
I was being nice, but yeah. I mean, there is no like NXT without a Johnny and Tommaso feud. Like, it's just not. Like, when you...
Khan. That was his name.
There you go. You did it.
Yes.
I know that name. Love it. But yeah, in my mind, this match is perfect. And I had so much fun watching it again. And I hadn't watched it in years until I made this comment to you after. I'm like, I really need to go back and just watch old NXT takeovers, because
we made the comment during it. It's like, isn't it nice to watch good wrestling?
Yes, and to just comment on how good, and like hearing you be like, yes, that's how you do it.
Yeah,
right. Like move after move after move of just. So in sync with one another that you just know exactly what's going to happen.
And when you're friends with somebody, it's so much easier to work with them. I
really hope that, because obviously we won't get matches like that on NXT.
Not for a while.
No, but I hope that the two of them will reunite again at some point, somewhere. And they can just keep feuding for the rest of their lives.
I think it's inevitable.
I don't think they want it any other way. I definitely don't want it any other way.
Right.
And I just want to keep watching Johnny Tommaso matches because it just makes me so happy.
If this was on This Is a Work, I would...
Oh, yes. What would you give this match?
I would strongly give this match 4.5 Meltzers.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's high.
Yeah.
Folks, I don't know if you know this. That is high. That is high praise.
If you ever listen to This Is Work and by the ratings, you don't.
Oh, stop.
So.
But that is a very, very high score and high praise. And I'm glad that I picked one that you really liked.
It's about the passion behind the match. It doesn't have to be aesthetically accurate and technically sound. It's the story that goes with it that makes it beautiful. It's what makes this an art form.
And you know what the difference is?
What's that?
They believe in it.
Yeah.
Right? They believed in that story. They believed in that feud. And they believed that the other one could run with them.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah.
You have to believe in it somewhat. You at least have to give 30% of your own belief to make anybody else believe it.
Yeah.
The problem is if you start to believe it more than 30%, you get sucked into your own hype, and then you have the problems that you had in the 80s and 90s. But we won't get into that.
I mean, that's also called method acting.
That's true.
If we want to put it in.
And that's the reason you don't like Jared Leto, right?
Nope. We are not even going to talk about that.
How about that for a sidetrack?
Well, I'm glad that you liked my match that I picked, and
I really did. And, I want to do this again, and I want to do my favorite match and your most hated match.
That I'm probably going to go through my checklist and write down my top 5 just like I did before, because I'm sitting here thinking, and I don't really know what that would be yet.
Yeah, well, it's good. We've got a while. It looks like our schedule's going to be monthly.
Yeah, no, so, I think that's fun.
Yeah. But you know what? I've enjoyed this. But before we sign off, if you would, I want to play a game.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I want to play 20 questions with you.
Ooh, okay.
And the catch on this is you have to guess the wrestler in 20 questions or less.
Okay.
Now, here are the rules. You have 20 questions that you can ask me. Mm-hmm. They have to be yes or no questions.
Okay.
Okay?
I think I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I've got my wrestler. I've actually had this in my head for a week or so now.
Okay.
So, I'm ready. Are you ready?
I am ready. Okay.
All right. Ask your question.
Is this a male wrestler?
Yes.
Okay. Were they popular during the Attitude Era?
Yes.
Okay. Are they currently wrestling now in 2022?
No.
Ooh, okay. Good. Would you consider their style to be high flyer?
Not at all.
Not at all. Okay, great. Did this person have a specific look that they wore all the time?
Indubitably, yes.
Okay. Is this person from Texas?
No.
Damn it. Okay, I thought I knew it. Did this person wear trunks?
Sometimes.
Okay.
A lot of the times, actually.
A lot of the times. Okay. Were the trunks a particular color?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Were they black?
They were not.
Okay. Was this wrestler... Oh, now I'm blanking.
You're asking great questions.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Was this wrestler a person of color?
No.
Okay.
Just to let you know, you have 10 questions left.
Oh, okay. I'm getting nervous. Okay. Okay. Did this person...
You'll see why I laugh if you figure this out.
Okay. Oh, okay. Did this person have red hair?
No.
Okay. Did this person have particular tattoos?
No.
Oh, man. Okay. How many do I have left?
You have 8 questions left.
Okay. I don't feel like I'm getting close at all. Let's see.
Just by your line of questioning, I was like, wow.
Am I dancing around it?
You kind of are. Yeah, you're getting ridiculously close.
Does this person have no hair? Like, are they bald?
Yes, they are bald.
Okay.
Ding.
Ding?
Balding.
Oh, balding. I was like, wait, there's a wrestler named Bald? You said ding, like ding, ding, ding. Okay.
Pretty much bald.
Balding. Okay. Oh man.
It's pretty safe to say they're bald at this point. It's
okay. Oh, does this person have a limited moveset?
Oh, does he ever? Yes.
Is this person Goldberg?
No.
No, damn it. Okay. Limited moveset. Balding white man. Oh God, I feel like people at home are screaming it.
Where's Trunks?
Where's Trunks?
I guarantee you there are people at home screaming
I
it.
know. Oh man. Okay.
You have 5 questions left.
Okay. Does this person, so he has a limited moveset. Is this person dangerous to work with? Dangerous meaning like unsafe?
No.
No. Okay. Does this person, I don't know, man. I'm running out of questions now. I'm gonna tap. I don't know.
Oh, you're gonna tap. You've got 4 questions.
I know.
left.
I can't think of any more questions.
Okay. It's like, take your 4 questions and just name wrestlers.
Okay. Is this person Brock Lesnar?
No.
Is this person, well, I was gonna say Randy Orton, but he's not balding, and he has tattoos. Is this person Steve Austin?
No.
Is this person, I can't think of any more bald guys. Scott Hall.
No.
Rest in peace, sir. Last one, right?
Last one.
All right. For the money shot. Is this person John Cena?
God, you're just so close.
No, who was it?
You were dancing around all the popular ones, and you did not say the most popular one. Hulk Hogan.
No! Why him?
Because I feel I picked the most popular wrestler ever.
Damn it, man. I was avoiding him at
Oh,
all costs.
you were.
I hate
You
that
were.
man.
I know.
hate that man. Oh, man.
Oh, you did.
Yeah, he has a limited moveset. He is currently balding. He is not. Was
Do you
popular
see
in
why
the
I
Attitude
laughed
Era.
a little when you said, "Is he a white man?"
Yes, I do see that now. He's definitely not a person of color, and he probably would get mad at me if I said that.
And then I had to, and I thought you were going to get it when you said, "Is he bald?" I was like, "He's balding. He's pretty much bald. He's."
I think I just, I pushed that man out of my wrestling worlds, so far on the outskirts that he did not even pop into my head as a possibility.
Oh, wow. Kara, were you close on that one?
No. Okay, good. At least I feel better.
Did you have any idea?
No.
No? Okay. All right.
I was for sure thinking that you were going to pick Steve Austin because he was my favorite.
Well,
as a
to
kid.
be honest, spoiler alert, that was going to be my next pick for the next game, but
okay.
not now.
Well, hopefully as time goes on, I'll get better.
Oh, no. I think you did a tremendous job.
Okay. I feel like I asked very detailed questions.
You really did. I thought you were going to get it. But you know this is why you play the game. This is why we go into championship rounds.
It's true. And I people at home, I could feel you're yelling at me. I could feel it. I appreciate your support.
And we'll continue to. We may continue to do this unless people
Sure.
don't like it.
Then we'll think of something else. But
Yeah.
I like the game. Because on our other shows we have our little segments, like you have Fashion Plate and
Sure.
And Best Actor, and we have EST and Ignorant Slut.
Right.
So
right.
I think this is fun.
Yeah. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. Well, I think that's going to wrap us up.
Yeah, I mean, I know I don't know the schedule for Long Walk Talks. I know they just finished Stan's Perfect 10 series, right?
Yes.
But I know that there's a lot of wrestling coming up
There's
soon,
so
right?
much wrestling. We have WWE Wrestlemania Backlash.
Yeah, it's the backlash from what happened over the 2-night WrestleMania.
And,
Yeah.
I was telling Kara just last night, it feels like me and Barnes just did last year's WrestleMania Backlash. It feels like we just finished it, and now we're doing another one.
I mean, Backlash is kind of a pointless pay-per-view, right? Like, it's...
It is now. It used to not be.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a pay-per-view a month, you know.
Yeah.
But we have AEW has 2 pay-per-views coming up soon. They have AEW, is it Double or Nothing?
Is Double or Nothing coming up at the end of the month.
And then Forbidden Door, which is a partnership with New Japan, which I am stoked about. Like, I am so excited because you don't get to watch New Japan very easily over here in the States.
And I think we're going to have a surprise for that one. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later on in the there is a bug in here.
It is. It circled around Kara, and then it came to me, and then now it's on you.
You've been acting like a true professional and just ignoring it, and I just absolutely stopped the press when it comes to me. The moment
it came into your eyesight, you were like, I can't see. There's a bug. There's been a bug for 20 minutes, Doggz.
Well, clearly I need to see to talk. So,
But yeah, we do have a surprise for that one, but I think we'll keep everybody out of the loop on that for a little bit.
We'll hold that one close to the chest, and we'll let you know when it comes around. Well, Shelby, if people want to follow you, where can they go to?
Well, if you want to follow me personally, you can do that on Instagram at SlayAllRay. And if you want to follow us for This Is a Takeover on Instagram and Twitter, you can do that at This Is a Takeover on Instagram and this_pod, Gina on Twitter. And Gina and I are currently in the process of trying to revamp our show because NXT has decided to take our takeovers away.
Yes.
And we are quite sad about that, but we're not going to be not having a show anymore. That is definitely not going to happen.
Yeah.
We are planning on just, taking a little bit of time and trying to revamp and trying to see what else we can talk about.
Yeah.
But for right now, if you can still follow us on Instagram, we're still trying to post as much as we can.
Yeah.
So if anybody wants to follow you, Doggz, where can they find you?
Well, I'm rarely on Twitter anymore.
Yeah, I have to tell you your handles and your names all the time.
Yeah, but I remembered it this time because I just checked.
That's what you were doing. Yes.
That's exactly what I was doing. You can follow me at Immortal2Doggz on Twitter. You can get me at This Is a Work on Instagram. And you can also get me at _2_DOGGZ on TikTok.
Oh, you're back on the TikTok.
Oh, I am a TikTok phenom.
Oh, I love it. Are you TikTok famous yet?
No. Oh. God, no. I've been known to have as many as 36 followers.
Oh, look at you. I mean, hey, in small town South Carolina, that's pretty good.
And almost none of them are spam bots. So
no, none of them. None of them. But if you want to keep up with Long Walk Podcast on our social media, you can follow us on Facebook at Long Walk Podcast and Long Walk Productions. And on Instagram, you can follow us at Long Walk Pod.
And, well, I guess we're going to shut this one down now. So for Shelby Death Ray Patterson and Kara Hayes, thank you for running the board for us tonight.
Yeah, Kara.
And everyone at Long Walk Podcast, this is David 2Doggz Hayes saying, guys, watching the past is fun, but keep your eyes on the future as far as everything else goes. Let's call it in the ring. Thank you for listening to This Is a Rewind.